Doing a virtual presentation is like speaking with a blindfold on. Maybe you can peek at shapes and shadows to know people are there, but you can't see clearly enough to know how they're receiving your message. You get blank stares. You see email reflected in someone's glasses. People are clearly doing other things while you speak. When you ask a question, silence. Everyone is on mute. You can't see what matters most, whether they're engaged, confused, or just checked out. Without this information, you can't adjust your message on the fly. You struggle to build real connections. And if you can't connect, your ideas won't inspire action. This matters more than ever because virtual presentations are not going away. You won't be able to influence decisions, sell ideas, or drive change if you can't overcome this problem. That's why, in this video, I'll share 3 techniques we've refined in the way that we train teams and interact with our clients. These techniques will help you truly connect with a digital audience. The first key to removing the virtual blindfold is projecting confidence when you can't physically fill the room. In person, you naturally adjust based on subtle audience cues, a furrowed brow, a nod, someone leaning forward. On video calls, that feedback loop, it breaks. You're presenting into a void through a medium that dulls your natural presence. Here are 3 techniques to project authority even through the screen. The first tip is to work the camera and create virtual eye contact with your audience. Today, different cameras and platforms treat eye contact differently. Some even use software to adjust your gaze. So instead of relying on a single rule like always look into the lens, test what works best on your system. Open a test meeting, hit record, and try 3 things. First, look directly at the camera and present a few lines. Then look just below the lens and present where the top row of the virtual faces in the audience would appear. Finally, read from your script, which is often a bit lower. Then, yes, brace yourself, watch the recording. Ask, which version makes me feel most like I'm making eye contact with the audience? That's your sweet spot. One sales leader we coached noticed he kept looking down at the participant thumbnails and screen shares instead of at them through his camera. His fix? He taped a photo of his favorite client just behind the lens, a low-tech way to make virtual eye contact feel more personal. His team soon reported stronger connections with prospects. The goal isn't mechanical eye contact. It's making your audience feel like you're talking to them, not just presenting at them. The second tip is to turn your environment into a trust-building asset. Your background isn't just scenery. It's a critical part of how people perceive your message. Remove distracting elements while keeping a few meaningful items that humanize your presence. And lighting is essential. Position your primary light source in front of you, not behind or overhead, to ensure that your expressions are clearly visible. A simple desk lamp behind your computer can dramatically improve how you appear. And for higher stakes presentations, consider this bonus tip: stand. When you stand, your posture improves, your breathing deepens, and your presence shifts. People often report feeling more energetic and confident because standing puts your whole body into presentation mode. It'll take extra effort to adjust your setup, but the payoff is huge. The third tip is to bridge the energy gap that kills virtual influence. What feels like normal energy to you comes across as low energy to your audience. So dial up your energy about 20% beyond what feels natural. And I'm not saying act like someone else, but for virtual, it really helps to be a more dynamic version of yourself. Also, vary your vocal delivery intentionally. Change pace, volume, tone to emphasize the key points. And then there's your hands. Use them. Make sure your hand gestures are visible so you can reinforce your ideas, keep people interested, and keep their attention. Finally, develop a presentation ritual to manage your energy, whether it's a quick walk, deep breathing, or a power pose. Virtual presentations are uniquely draining, and these practices help maintain your presence from start to finish. Now, the second key to breaking through the virtual blindfold is crafting visuals that hold attention when distractions are just a click away. In virtual environments, your slides often become the primary focus. What worked in the boardroom doesn't work on small screen when your audience is bombarded with notifications and The temptation to multitask. Here are 3 ways to design slides that capture and keep attention. The first tip is to increase contrast and readability. You have no control over how people are viewing your slides. Some may be on laptops, others on tablets, some even on their phones. Use a minimum of 24-point font for body text and 32 for headlines. This ensures readability across all devices. Also, be sure to increase the contrast between your text and the background compared to what you'd use in-person presentations. Colors that look subtle in person can appear washed out on screen. The second tip is to create visual variety to maintain engagement. Combat attention dips by deliberately changing your visuals to create pattern interrupts that recapture wandering minds. Vary your slide backgrounds to signal important transitions. When you move to a new topic, change the background color or the layout. This visual shift prompts your audience to refocus. Another key is to split your content across multiple slides instead of cramming multiple points onto one slide. This creates a sense of movement and progress that keeps viewers engaged. Finally, use builds and reveals strategically. Rather than showing all information at once, reveal elements sequentially and as you discuss them, because this is going to prevent your audience from reading ahead and tuning out your voice. The third tip is to reduce the visual noise. The biggest enemy of virtual attention is boredom. It's cognitive overload, and simplicity beats sophistication. Complex animations that look impressive in normal presentations often lag, glitch, or freeze during virtual presentations, which frustrates both you and your audience. When it comes to graphics and visuals, bandwidth limitations become critical. Complex gradients, textures, and high-resolution images might look impressive on your device, but they can appear pixelated or cause presentation delays for your audience. Opt for simpler, cleaner graphics that load quickly and display consistently. Remember that even subtle visual noise, decorative elements that don't directly support your message, can significantly distract your audience, especially when they're already fighting the urge to check email or browse other tabs. Each visual element should earn its place on your slide by directly supporting your key point. The third key to removing the virtual blindfold is creating purposeful interactions that break through the digital wall. Without deliberate engagement, your audience will drift away. Their minds will wander, their attention will fragment, and your message will be lost. Here are 3 approaches to create meaningful engagement. The first tip is to establish clear feedback channels. Start by setting clear expectations about how you want people to interact. Should they use chat, raise their virtual hands, or unmute? Being explicit upfront removes the awkwardness that often prevents participation. You can also use polls strategically throughout your presentation as tools to genuinely understand where your audience stands. A simple poll asking, "How familiar are you with this topic?" allows you to adjust your content on the fly, but then you actually have to make the adjustments. The second tip is to plan interaction points that drive your objective. Open with an interaction that builds connection to your topic. Include mid-presentation check-ins as natural transition points between topics, creating a rhythm of content followed by engagement. For complex topics, consider using breakout rooms for small group discussions. This mimics the table discussions that happen naturally in physical meetings. The third tip is to use storytelling to create emotional connection. Incorporate relevant stories that resonate with your specific audience. These shouldn't be generic anecdotes, but examples that speak directly to their experiences and challenges. Create contrast between the problem state, the current pain points and limitations, and the solution state, the improved future after implementing your ideas. For example, a story might begin by describing how a team struggled with missed deadlines and miscommunication when working remotely. Then, show how after implementing a new approach, they achieved better results with less stress. Make your audience the hero of the transformation. Rather than positioning yourself as the expert with all the answers, frame your content as enabling their success. Show how they can apply your insights to overcome their specific challenges. This is all Duarte 101 stuff, and we have a ton of training on all of this. If you want help learning how to structure your presentations, Nancy did a comprehensive video where she broke down her viral TED Talk. You can click the link at the top of your screen to watch it now. Virtual presentations are now a permanent part of our business communication. They're essential for your effectiveness and and your career growth. For your next presentation, download our free virtual presentation checklist. This includes techniques plus additional tips we couldn't fit here, all on one page. You don't have to present blindfolded. With the right approach, you can inspire action, even when you're presenting virtually.